Okay, well, I think we're recording.
Yeah, you are recording. You can see it on my side.
Oh, good. Awesome. All right, guys, be cool. Be cool. Welcome to our almost May Day gathering. It's April 30th here for the American Indian Alaska Native Ministry Updates Zoom gathering. I've asked Colleen to open us in open with prayer this afternoon. So go ahead, Colleen.
Thank you. Please join me. God, our Creator, our Sanctifier and Redeemer, we walk through uncertain times. There are many who possibly are feeling isolated and divided from their people and their community now. There are some who are living on the fringes of uncertainty and many who are walking through extreme uncertainty. We invite you to remind us of your ever-presence, and we show gratitude to you for this platform that we can come together, scattered throughout this nation, but brought together through a technology that our ancestors would never have even seen possible. Fill us with your presence, guide us, give us your spirit in a way that we can bring glory to you. In your son's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Colleen. Now we'll go in alphabetical order. I'm just kidding. If we could do just introductions, your name, the ministry you serve, and let's do one thing you're hopeful for. Don't be shy.
I'll go first since I just unmuted myself. Hi, Wanda Frenchman, Native American Urban Ministry in Phoenix, Arizona. I am hopeful for being able to see all my people again. Next.
This is Pastor Kay Karen. I am the pastor director in Pine Ridge, South Dakota at the Pine Ridge Reconciliation Center. And I am hopeful that we're going to be able to make it through this COVID and come out ready to gather and do ministry together.
Obanabakwe in Anishinaabemowin. My English name is Colleen Bernu. I'm Together Here. I serve in Together Here as a mission developer in northeastern Minnesota. And I am hopeful that we will be able to figure out how to bring people together. Our platform was such that we were doing a lot of community engagement, and that's been interesting at this time. So I'm really hopeful. I've been working with some ministry partners on that, so I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes.
Hi, my name is Patterson Yazzie. I am the mission director here at Rock Point Navajo Lutheran Mission. I am hopeful that after this whole COVID is over, that our relationship with each other is real and pure.
Sio Jagi Dawada. My name is Jay Kelly, and I am from Ebenezer Lutheran in Oaks, Oklahoma. I'm also bring greetings to you from the campus of the Oaks Indian Mission here in Oaks. And the thing that I am hopeful for is that we can reconnect Oaks to the American Indian Native Alaskan ministry that we've, it seems like we've kind of lost touch a little bit. So I'm hoping to reconnect.
And I am Manuel Ragamosa. I'm a senior pastor at St. Andrew's Lutheran in San Diego. And I am hopeful for the time when we can gather here at St. Andrew's for worship. And so very excited. We've had a lot of people who we've reached somehow through our live stream. And so they've been giving and also sending us messages too in different ways. So look forward to seeing them in worship. Some of them, though, are not even in our area that have been in our worship. So that's been very interesting and hopeful to see.
Lonnie and Albert.
I'll go next.
And Chris.
Okay. Hey, my name is Chris, and I am from Native American Urban Ministry in Phoenix. And so Wanda's in Phoenix, and I'm in Tuba City right now. So I'm just hopeful for, well, what I'm hoping for is like if this does really pass and everything, for the families that are going to be grieving, all their loved ones. Like for example, there's this a house that has a bunch of young kids there, and the parents are on drugs, and they're really bad shape. So the grandfather's there, the one that to take care of them and to watch them, and he provided a place for them. And now I guess he got the COVID, and they just buried him yesterday. So I'm just hoping that there's some kind of counseling or something, we can reach out to them, to try to help them, with the things that they're going through right now. So, because, there's all the repercussions and everything after this, the families are going to be suffering from it. And, I guess that's where clergy and everybody comes along, and tries to help, and then being here, with my mother here in Tuba, and because the hysteria, somebody says this person has it, then everybody's kind of like aware. And because here in Tuba, well, we'll have the numbers later, but it's pretty bad, and then the paranoia is really, really bad out here. So just try to keep everybody in that mental state where they're happy, So I'm just hoping that, everybody could recover from, this COVID, especially because we lost I think almost 7 or 8 grandmas so far now. So, just keep us in prayer. But that's what I'm hopeful for, man. Thank you guys.
Lonnie, I know you're on the move, but are you able to do an introduction?
Hi, everybody. Sorry for moving all over the place here. My name's Lonnie Taylor, here at Our Saviour's Lutheran Church in Rocky Boy, Montana. I share the stress and worry and hopefulness with everybody, all of you. And what else? I am church council president for here for Our Saviour's, and then now I'm on the church-wide council all of a sudden. But I'm doing my best to just keep afloat here in all areas, work, family, trying to help take care of our property here. And but anyways, I just yeah, I guess that's my introduction. So thank you. I'm gonna go sit in this office so it's connected to Wi-Fi so I don't get cut off here. So I'll mute myself now.
Thanks. Albert?
Well, my name is Albert Starr, and I'm just very glad to be here with everybody. I serve as Director for Ethnic Specific and Multicultural Ministries team at the church-wide offices in Chicago. And just as evidence of not believing everything that you see, that wonderful beach background you see behind me is not my island. It's I'm in Chicago. So this is a totally aspirational background, my hopes and dreams. There you go. Prairie Rose, I was talking a little earlier, and so just to be able to share a little bit, our team met earlier today, and just wanted to know that all of our communities among indigenous peoples and peoples of color across the LCA were pretty much all sharing in common a lot of the same dynamics and impact from this COVID-19 virus. Chris, I was listening to you talking about the family situations and everything, with that one family in particular with the grandpa, and I tell you, so many of our communities are having that same experience. This thing somehow is impacting indigenous people and people of color more so than anybody else anywhere else, and so at least here in this country, and so we're mindful of that, and sharing together the challenge of how do we grieve in such a way that we don't lose sight of our call and opportunity to take care of each other, and so we seek to do that. I just wanted to share fairly quickly, and Prairie Rose, I see that you made in the note in the chat about churchwide updates in terms of hunger grants. I don't have information in right now to report on hunger grants per se, but our ELCA churchwide did initiate a campaign to raise funds for a response to the impact of COVID-19, and so would serve primarily, churchwide is primarily serving as a pass-through. Those funds have begun to come in and totaled at last report about $550,000. The first portion of that was already distributed. There was a committee formed to determine the grant or respond to grant applications. These funds are directed specifically to synods. In fact, there's the format actually is for synod block grants. That's how the applications have come. All of our ethnic directors, program directors, and our congregational vitality team staff here churchwide all work together to make sure, and working alongside of the DEMs to make sure that the ministries from our various ethnic communities were indeed listed on as the synods then made the applications. All of the synods did not apply because some of the synods have some internal funds, if you will, for the synod, from which they are making grants to congregations. And so in some way we could just say that they felt that they didn't need them at this time. I do have a list, if I can, Prairie Rose, share the screen here for a minute. I think I can do this.
Yeah, you should be able to.
Yeah, I think I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. I got to find what I'm looking for. Okay. Okay. All right. For those who are able to see a screen or using a screen, can you see that?
What are we looking at?
Okay, so there were 26 synods who received funds in round one, and that first granting round. And so you can see listed there the synods, and so maybe take note of whether or not you see your synod, and if you do, then maybe this will be a good time to either reach out to or together with Prairie Rose, reach out to your DEM to find out what that may mean for your ministries. And so just
hold on, Albert. Looking
yes.
at Prairie Rose's screen is the one showing, not yours.
Yeah, I was like, all of a sudden I'm seeing my screen, and
that's all I can see is Prairie Rose's email open. I don't see your stuff, Albert.
All right, let me try to do this again.
Okay. It says we're viewing your screen, but it's actually Prairie Rose's.
Yeah, which is weird. I was like,
it looked like his screen, but it's his email because he was searching for your Prairie Rose's email, I think, for this meeting.
We're all detectives.
Okay.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
All right. All right. All right. There you go. All right. I just want to tell you that our digital, or I'll say it for myself, my digital learning curve has been pretty steep this last couple of months, but we're working it out. We're working it out. So just running down the list. So in terms of synods, the 26 synods, Alaska Synod, Northwest Intermountain, Grand Canyon, Rocky Mount, Western North Dakota, South Dakota, Northwestern Minnesota, and the Minneapolis area, the St. Paul area, Central States, Southwestern Texas, Texas, Louisiana, Gulf Coast, Northwest Synod of Wisconsin, Greater Milwaukee Synod, the South Central Synod of Wisconsin, the Northwest Lower Michigan Synod, Southern Ohio, New Jersey, Upstate New York, Northwestern Pennsylvania, Southwestern Pennsylvania, Allegheny, Lower Susquehanna, Delaware, Maryland, Southeastern, and Florida, Bahamas Synods. And so, like I said, these 26 grand committee that did this training was comprised of two bishops. There were a couple of representatives from Church Council, and myself, Ruben Duran, and Jody Slattery out of the Office of the Presiding Bishop also served as staff resource for this committee. As I said, the grants ranged from $5,000 to $10,000. And so again, you might want to just check on this list. There is a second round. The plan was that out of the first $500,000 would go directly would all go to the synods through that did apply. And then out of the second round, I think the plan was, if I'm remembering correctly, and I don't have the notes in front of me, but that 20% of those funds would remain with church-wide for church-wide related initiatives. And all of these grants are in response to COVID-19 dynamics. And so for some of the ministries or some of the synods that had listed ministries that were, for example, doing food-related response to the pandemic, there were some others that were areas of need, but were also pandemic related. So for the second round, so far, I've received applications from Northwest Washington, Southwestern Washington, Oregon, Southwest California, Southwestern Minnesota, Northern Illinois, La Crosse area, Southeast Michigan, Northwestern Ohio, Metro New York, Susquehanna, North Carolina, South Carolina, so there may be yet others, but as I said before, we try to do our best as staff from our ethnic specific and multicultural ministries team to make sure that the ministries that we were aware of and in relationship with were all showing up on this list, okay, or the previous list, okay. in terms of Synod relationships. Any questions if you have some.
I have a question. I'm not sure. I'm breaking up, so I'm not sure if that's on my end or a different end, but if you can't hear me, let me know. I know that Northeastern Minnesota Synod had sent in a request, and we didn't get on the first list, and it doesn't look like we're on the second list either. So how do I go about checking on that beyond the fact that I've got CCs on what have been sent?
Okay. Now, have you had any conversation with your DEM?
Yes, I actually have spoken with her multiple times. I've even spoken with her today.
Yeah, I'm actually, Colleen, I'm actually a little surprised too, because there was a note from your bishop with your DEM that went to Ruben that I was copied on, and so it seemed like you would be on the list. So it might just might be an omission. So let me double check on that, because I can recall the email that was sent. It was just past that deadline for the first round. So.
And again, that's, I'm sorry, Colleen, that's what Synod is that again?
Northeastern Minnesota.
No
Okay.
problem. Yeah, Northeastern Minnesota. DEM is Amy Odgren.
Okay. And Prairie Rose, you're going to follow up on that?
Yeah, I recall the email, and Ruben had been the one to respond, so I can send that to you.
Northeastern, oh, I'm sorry, I misread.
All good.
This is one. Is this a daily bread grant? Is that what these are?
No. The daily bread, this is different from the daily bread grant. And the daily bread grant, let me see if I do have a.
And I'll tell you why I'm asking is because the Synod put a little blurb out the other day saying they're seeking to raise $10,000, which would mean $20,000 to provide basic needs, and it's for significant populations of Native American, Latino, and ethnic specific communities. And the ministry must be served by a rostered leader. So is this a grant that, I'm not sure what the daily bread grant would be. So that's something we apply for, or does anybody know?
Now the daily bread grant, that was initially a grant initiative that was it would be a $500 grant, and the criteria was for the ministry to raise or to match that $500, and so that was a little different than this grant initiative. I think there were about 200 congregations or ministries that were initially awarded the daily bread grant. I know that there is another round of grants, daily bread grants, being developed. So this may warrant, yes, another conversation with your DEM for the particulars about that within your particular synod. Now there are synods that are doing their own appeal, if you will, and so I don't know if what you just described is a synod appeal, and simply using the same language of daily bread grants, but I'll have to look into that a little closer. And if you would also, again, just follow up with a conversation with your DEM and Synod office about that.
Sure. Yeah, I'll do that. Thanks.
But please let me know or let us know what you find out. Okay, yeah. So you keep track of that as well. Okay.
I sure will.
So Albert, to go back to this hunger grant piece, if our synod's not listed already, are we out of it?
No. As I said, so this list on the screen right now is round 2.
Because we're not in there at all. Pacifica Synod's not represented in there. So do I need to contact my DEM about
exactly?
Grant? Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we can still get in.
Well, to find out if the Senate plans to
Okay.
make application, or if the Senate has plans for its own campaign. All right.
Yep.
There were some synods, for example, that had some reserve funds, you know, from the sale of some property or something like that they've been holding on to, and decided that out of those funds they would respond to the needs of congregations and ministries within the Synod.
Okay.
All right.
Great. And where does this money originate? Like, is it part of our giving to the churchwide?
This money has all come from from donations from across the church. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Albert.
Yeah, and these were not specifically called hunger funds. This is COVID response, ELCA churchwide response to COVID-19. Okay.
Thank you, Albert. Any other questions?
All right. Well, thank you all very much for all that you're doing, and just keep on taking good care of each other. And as our team was in conversation earlier today, we were concerned about how we're taking care of each other as a team. But again, I can't say enough about how much it means for our communities to be reaching out to each other, sharing the prayers, staying in prayer, especially. That's power for us. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, okay. I think another church-wide note too is that those of us from the Chicago office are still, we have an internal stay-at-home order from the presiding bishop and leadership at churchwide, and I believe that's still through the end of May.
End of May, yes.
Yeah. So regardless of state orders that are coming out from some of our respective states, internally the ELCA has a stay-at-home order. Yeah, so let's go into ministry updates. A lot has happened since we last spoke, and there's potential funding through the endowment that I want to talk to our committee about. There's still several ministries who are serving their communities as essential food distribution centers, and funding from the endowment could be really helpful right now. I also want to keep in mind that this is still just the first wave of the pandemic, and how we're responding now and seeing a lot of not just disparity, but these mechanisms, infrastructure mechanisms that are in place to serve our communities failing us. And so how are we planning to the future? I don't have answers for that yet, but I'm hopeful that we are seeing this, we are aware, and so that if a second wave comes, whether it's from the short-term lifting of stay-at-home orders happening around the country, or perhaps the fall colder climate, seeing another wave happening, that we will be better prepared to meet needs. And so it's a hard place to be in when it's like we have resources, and how much do we give at this time, and how much do we reserve and better plan for that we know this other piece is coming. There's just so much that we don't know about the pandemic, right? So it puts us in a very unique situation, and times like this where we can connect and have these conversations, this dialogue really helps me to be a better informed analyst to the work that we're doing and the needs that we're trying to meet, and how best we can meet those needs. So I don't know who wants to start with the ministry updates. Jay, maybe actually I would invite Oaks to do a ministry update first, since you're brand new. And really the ministry updates are inclusive of like what's been going on, what isn't going on, right? If you need resources to come in, what does that look like? And how has the community been responsive? Yeah, we're kind of curious on what's happening with the Oaks Indian Mission and Oaks, Oklahoma. So if you're comfortable with that, Jay, thanks.
Yeah, be happy to. Specifically with the congregation at Ebenezer, we suspended worship since middle of March. And so we are looking to return to worship. We've been doing online and that sort of thing. But we're looking to return to that later this month. That's sort of been the directive from our Synod bishop here in the Arkansas-Oklahoma Synod, Mike Gerlinghouse, is that later this month. I'm on the church council. We're actually meeting about that this evening by Zoom. Specifically at the Oaks Indian Mission, when all of this hit, it was in the middle of spring break. And at the time that spring break started, we had 20 kids on campus. Half of them checked out for the spring break. And at that point, it was decided by our administration that those kids, unless it was they were in a situation where they absolutely had to return, they remained home. So currently we have 10 kids on campus, 6 girls and 4 boys. Ages range from 8 to 17. For those of you that aren't familiar, specifically with the Oaks Indian Mission, we are a children's home. Our ministry dates back 200 years to Moravian missionaries that served here amongst the Cherokee people in Georgia, followed the Cherokee along the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma to here, what is now Oaks. And it's been specifically a children's home for just about the last 100 years. And all of our funding comes from individuals, congregations. We don't receive any state, federal, or tribal funds. So our donors have been very generous. They've continued to give to us, and so we haven't seen a considerable drop off in our operations. Our kids are getting restless because we have kept them locked down to campus. They haven't left campus for anything, any grocery shopping, that sort of thing. Staff takes care of that, brings it back, and so I think for the time being, I think that we're actually functioning along fairly well. I know that they did ask us to watch, water and energy usage and any, spending that wasn't necessary. We've kind of locked down on currently, but I believe that we're handling, fairly well, by the grace of God, that we're doing that. Leadership here, our executive director is Don Marshall. He's been involved in ministry here at Ebenezer and in the mission dating back to the 1970s. And so we're very thankful because he is our link to a lot of our donors, and he's kept contact with them by either calling or writing. And so I think that we're weathering fairly well with all this. One of our major donor events that we would have scheduled for later on this month obviously has been canceled for the year. But I think for the most part, I think we're functioning along fairly well. Like I said, Ebenezer, that's we don't have a lot of, outside of the missions presence at Ebenezer, we don't have a lot of community presence there. We're working on that. But I know that we don't have much for cases. There's one case in the entire community of COVID-19, and our county has roughly 100 cases, but that's all sort of focused on one nursing home, and it's well to the north of us. But otherwise, we're seeming to be weathering okay. All of our kids are healthy, and other than bored, they're happy. But otherwise, we're doing fairly well.
And that's Delaware County, right?
That's correct.
All right.
Thank you, Jay. Like having 4 nephews at home, I get the boredom piece and the crisis learning, trying to educate them. It's been a learning curve. Any questions for Jay at all about Oaks and Ebenezer? All right. Kay will
one
jump.
thing I will
Oh,
add
go ahead.
is
Go ahead, Jay.
one thing I will add is that we have been continuing worship here on campus. I've been doing most of the leading of that here on campus, but we did Holy Week. We worshipped in various spots on campus that were sort of significant, or at least symbolically significant to Holy Week. And we did Easter sunrise at the cemetery here in town. We did that at 6:30 in the morning on Easter Sunday. So, and we've been, our education, all of our kids, they've completed their school year worth of work from the public school here in town. And I've been actually teaching a few classes on Native history, and also some, what you would sort of call pseudo confirmation type stuff that I've been teaching as well.
Thank you. Kay, you want to go next? You're on my screen, close to Jay.
Yeah, so our spring immersion groups have been canceled, of course, and I just learned that the powwow for the reservation, the big powwow, the Dakotah Invitational has been canceled. That takes place in the first weekend in August. So that leads me to believe that visitors will most likely not be allowed to come to the reservation. We have worked really hard just to try to follow the recommendations of tribal leadership. Sunday, we just got off from a 2-week lockdown, and that the next 2-week lockdown will be starting this Sunday at, this Saturday at 6 p.m. and will go for 2 weeks. So we've had one confirmed case, which is almost 3 weeks ago now, and that's the only one that I'm aware of. But I also know that there's been no testing to speak of. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. We are following the school's schedule as far as when we'll call kids back for kids time. And again, we're just waiting until we get the all clear from tribal leadership. So we are, I guess I would say, in a stance of preparation and continue to do that. We had started having worship in the church next door to the Reconciliation Center building. And so we just continue to plan for when we can gather again. And probably the biggest thing I'm so thankful for is that we put out a fundraising letter about 10 days or 2 weeks ago to try to support the Job Corps with salary, with some kind of stipend while they're on furlough. And actually the Synod also applied for the payroll protection program. So we just learned that we have 2 months of the payroll protection in place, so they'll be able to receive what would be their normal wages while they're on furlough. And our fundraiser went really well, so I'm confident we'll be able to continue supporting the staff until we're ready to gather again. And they were all so thankful to hear that. So other than that, I don't know that I have too much else to report at this point in time. We're just waiting until we're able to move forward in some fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Wanda, you want to go next?
I do want to go next, and I want to talk to Jay about his cat. I'm a cat person, Jay, so I got to know. What's the cat's name?
The cat's name is Dakotah. Dakotah in Cherokee means tiger.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I had a silver tabby.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I thought that was Manuel's nickname too on his Cherokee side. I'm just kidding. All right, Wanda, what's your tabby's name?
Oh, I had a silver tabby named Ikmu, which is a Lakota word for cat. So I had her for 20 years. I love silver tabbies. They're my favorite. So cool looking cat. Anyway, I'll go on with the Native American Urban Ministry update. I made a few notes. Grand Canyon Synod Assembly has been moved to 2021. That would have been in June in Las Vegas. So they've moved it to June of 2021 in Las Vegas. We will not be having a Synod Assembly. The Women of the ELCA meeting that was supposed to happen here in Phoenix in July has also been postponed as well. as the rostered ministers meeting, which was supposed to happen at the same time. So all of the events that the Grand Canyon Synod were looking forward to this summer, which would have put a really nice focus, you know, on our ministries here, aren't going to happen. And that's fine. I'm good with that. Let's see, ministry updates. We have also been told we are not allowed to meet at least until June, so through the month of May, which means our next meeting date would put us about June 13th, 6 weeks from today. The elders have been, their names and numbers have been given over to something called Native Health, which has got a food box distribution program so that they're contacted and then groceries are taken and delivered to them through Native Health. So at least 4 or 5 of our elders are taking advantage of that, which is good. The rest of our elders are either homeless or don't want to participate in a program like that, so they aren't involved. Let's see. We haven't been able to get into our church except for 1 or 2 times, and that's basically to drop off donations. So we can't be there to hand out food, or we can't be there to do any of the other things that some of the other churches are doing, unfortunately. We rent space in a church, and so they pretty much tell us what we can do and what we can't do in regards to our office space. I don't think Pastor Mary's doing good. She's trying to stay in as much as possible. She's tough though. She's so bored right now. It's not even funny. She just wants to go and go and go, and I understand that. But at her age and with her health concerns, it's better if she just stays in. So I'm trying to do as much as I can to keep her from being bored, and trying to answer emails and any kind of phone calls or texts that come in about the ministry for her for now. Any questions about Phoenix?
Even if you had like a location where you could do some distribution, is that something that the ministry has the capacity for still? You know, I know you all had put little kits together for distribution with homeless and then did a food distribution. Is that something, do you need a location for that?
I don't think so. Grace is open during the day, 9 to 12. That's the church that we meet at, and they're doing like water and snacks. Oh, I should tell you. So there's a thing called heat respite, because today it's going to be 106 in Phoenix. So Grace usually opens its doors Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, for the homeless population to come into the fellowship center for meals and to cool off. And sometimes they get counseling, get a haircut, see a doctor, watch a movie. What our ministry does during that time is we also do clothing closet distribution if we have to, if anyone needs clothing, which a lot of people do in the summertime, or if we get excess food or water, we can distribute at the same time. But since Grace isn't allowed to open, they aren't allowed to have heat respite. So because of that, they've been setting out cases of water and snacks and food in the front of their church area every day, every morning from 9 to 12, so people can at least come by and take food. So I know that they're still keeping up with that, but heat respite was a thing for us, because we're right there in the same building, so we would go in and volunteer and help out as much as possible. So we can't do anything with heat respite right now. Mount of Olives, which is also in our synod, does a food pantry on Thursdays, and so the office manager for Grace runs that. So she goes over there and she puts food together, and they give out like a box of food every Thursday. We were helping with that only because we had volunteer time. Like Chris and I, if we were here, would go, or I would go if I had time, but they're not letting volunteers in the church with them now. It's only 2 people, and that's all they're going to let in, and they put a line of cars outside, and they come out and bring the food. So no one's allowed to go in. You can't interact with anybody, so there's no cross-contamination or contamination of people. So I don't think at this point, even if we had the place, it would be ideal for us to try to distribute anything at this point.
Thank you. Any questions for Wanda?
I just want to say that, so I'm in Phoenix, Chris is in Tuba City. This is maybe not a ministry thing, but for people that are sheltering alone, which I think Prairie Rose is now, it's tough. It's tough to be alone all day and not have human interaction at all. So I'm going to say, I'm done.
Yeah. Thank you, Wanda. And Chris, just so you get prepared too, I'd still love to hear an update about you and Tuba City in that area. But I'll jump to Patterson next, because he's on my screen next.
Good afternoon. like I've said, I work for Navajo Lutheran Mission in Rock Point, Northeast Arizona. Our school shut down. Well, we sent school, our kids on spring break back in mid-March, and they haven't been back. And but we've been sending 2 meals to them, breakfast and lunch, for our 29 students. And then recently, the state opened up the summer feeding program. So we're providing 120 meals a day to kids under 18 from our little mission. I think only a few of you guys have seen our mission, but and the school across the street, who receives millions and millions of dollars from BIA, they just started doing their food, their meals this week, and they're only doing it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think. So I always tell my staff that, Red Mesa, which is a huge school district, are not even feeding their kids either. And they receive tons and tons of money from the state. And our little mission, we don't get travel funding, government funding, or state funding, and we just operate on donations from churches or individual donors. But we've been able to do a lot. So I'm really proud of my staff, there are 10 of us who are still working here. And they come in at 6 o'clock in the morning, start cooking, prepare meals, and deliver them with homework and school packets. And then we're also collecting them as we go along. And then we also have Hozho Cafe inside the House of Prayer. And that number fluctuates. Sometimes we get 30 people. There are times we go over 50 a day. And so now I'm trying to coordinate with Shamrock to see if we can piggyback on our school orders to order food for Shamrock, so that way we're not going into Farmington or into the city to get stuff for our food. I think right now, as of yesterday, I think they had 1,800 positive cases across the nation, our Navajo tribe. And in Apache County, I think we have over 400, and Navajo County is over 400 as well. And our tribal president, through his executive orders, shut down the government, which meant our local governments are closed. And during emergencies, our local governments are supposed to be the command centers, the command stations. So when, there is no one to respond to the needs of the people. So our mission, we were providing water to folks who don't have running water. And so people would get in line, and I say, it takes 30 minutes to fill a 200-gallon tank. And because we're not set up for, bulk distribution. And that's something that we're looking at, because we're looking at restarting the well that's been in place for years and years. So, and then that's on hold because the tribal government shut down, so no one's able to give us a permit so we can drill. So we're halfway there with our fundraising, but enough to make a down payment and to get the projects going for the wind or the water source, and then we're looking at doing filtered water so that people can take those 5-gallon jugs home. So hopefully in the summer or this fall we'll have some water going from our well. And then we have worked with them. There is a possibility that our mission may become a distribution point for the St. Mary's Food Bank. So we're still working on that. And then we had some food delivered from Payson about 2 weeks ago or so. So we're able to put together boxes of food for about 50 families, while the local government is waiting for money to be distributed from the tribe. So in a lot of ways, this COVID-19 highlighted the needs in our community, and maybe not just in this community, but communities all over. We don't have, infrastructure, and even the internet system. A lot of kids are told, just log into Google Classroom and you can do your work. And we don't have internet. So I talked to one of our providers about possibly doing directional signal, how you send directional signal. And she said that, it's possible, but it costs a lot of money. But I'm looking at COVID-19 as an opportunity for us to recognize the needs of the communities, and so that we can start working on it. And then when schools start back up, then we can start training our kids to how to do internet research and how to do internet work in case there is another need that we have to send our kids home. So for me, it's not always gloom for me. I'm looking at opportunities that we can identify and look for funding sources to fill these gaps. So what else? And Kate just, she was back for a while, for a few days, and then she left again this morning. She went back and she came here because my brother just died suddenly last week, and with no illnesses, real big health issues. And that was another thing that I discovered with the funeral homes. They're only allowing 4 people to be at the burial site. 4 pallbearers, the funeral director. They're not even considering any sort of pastors to be there. So I had to push for it, as this is important to my family, this is important for my brother. So, and that's something that we as tribal leaders, that we need to look out for our relatives and our community members, that if that's what they want, that they should be afforded that, because the funeral homes are saying, no, you can't. But we've been able to accommodate that by rotating out, because they only wanted 5 people in the burial site. So one of the pallbearers had to step out, and then for Kate to come in to do her thing. And so that was important to my family and to my brother. So, and before he died, he had his Bible open to Acts 13. And so I know, and that gives me comfort that, that was one of the last things he's done before he passed. And so, and even, then people were, just assume that, oh, did he die from the COVID, or, and to me, it's just like, why does it matter if the person died from COVID? And my thing is, and I start telling people, is that even if the person died from COVID, they still deserve the respect of a proper funeral and their last rites. And so, and that's become almost my my big thing now, because after my brother died and this whole the middle of the pandemic, and everybody just assumed that, you know, that he had COVID, and they're like, no, he didn't. But you know, so I pushed for folks to not diminish the person's life because they had COVID at the end of their life. And so, and I think in our community, we have about 1,000 to 1,600 people. And the numbers, you know, vary between the tribal government and IHS. So I'm not exactly sure what the numbers are, but in our community, I think we probably have about 10 to 20 positive cases, maybe. One of our congregation member has COVID, and so we try to reach out to our folks, whether they're members of our church and or not. When we did the food distribution, and that was one of the things that I pushed for, and I said, let's give the food to people who really need it, that would not have been identified by the local government for various reasons, whether because they fell through the cracks of qualifying for social benefits or tribal benefits. So, and that's what we really worked on in identifying people who really need the help during this time. And I think we've been able to do that for our folks. And we're keeping the lights on, and we'll be here as long as we need to for our community. I even asked my staff, the kitchen staff, I said, is our small kitchen, can we produce 300 meals if we have to? So that's an option that we have if the school across the street doesn't do summer feeding. So, but through all of this, we've been able to secure a commercial refrigerator for Hozho Cafe. So that got delivered this week. So we just need a freezer to fill our food. I think that's it for me.
Thank you, Patterson, and you'll be in continued prayers, your family, and your loss of your brother. My condolences to you. Any questions for Patterson?
Yep, I have one. Do you need volunteers? Is this something that Chris and I can come over and stay and volunteer with? Or I'm volunteering you, Chris, sorry. But we spend, I mean, I go up there and I spend days in Tuba City anyway. So would it be helpful to you if we come over and help with food prep or food distribution? I mean, is that a thing, or are you trying to keep people away, or?
Well, right now our mission is kind of shut down, on the shutdown mode. We have Tuskegee Nursing. One of their nurses is staying on campus to take care of their patients. And even the Hozho Cafe, we only have one staff working, and all she does is, prepare the food and just slide it through. It's like a to-go thing.
Okay.
But even the school, I mean, our cafeteria manager is really, really strict. I mean, she wouldn't even let me into the building without a mask or gloves. So, so I think they have it pretty much under control for our little operation. But then when we go into summer feed, if we are feeding 300 people, that might be a different story.
Okay, well, let us know.
I have your number.
you have our number, and I'm not
Yes.
working, and I'm just kind of here. So I'm either sitting in Phoenix or sitting in Tuba City. So
yeah.
Just let me know.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Anybody else for Patterson? So we'll move to, hey, I see Pastor Larry joined. We'll get you an update in a little bit, Pastor Larry, to introduce yourself and an update from your ministry. But Chris, you want to go next?
Okay. Is it evening time or is it still afternoon? What time's on everybody at? I'm at 4 o'clock on res time. So, but I guess it's evening time. I'm here in Tuba, and I'm on the Navajo Nation, and my name is Chris Sloan. For a lot of you guys that don't know, and I am here at the fairgrounds because this is the only place they have wireless internet that's hooked up 5G for the community for people to get on the internet and to for the students to do their school. But as you can see, there's only some. There's not very a lot of people here. But the internet's like really slow. So there's a lot of things going on around here in Tuba, and you know, just as like you guys seeing on the news, where Patterson is at, he's like they're a little bit more away, and my community probably has around like about 7,000, 8,000 people in it. So last we've been having 57-hour lockdowns on the weekend. So in the evening time, we go on lockdown at about 8 o'clock. So we're locked down. So if you get caught, they give you $1,000 fine. But if you can't pay the fine, they're gonna give you 4 months. So the majority of the people that are driving around and moving around, they get they get charged and they get tickets. But see, here on the reservation, you know, you got two classes. You got the people that are not really, you know, don't have a lot of money. You know what I mean? You have the people that, you know, that are the addicts and stuff like that. Then you have the people, you know, that work for the tribe or work for the school. So you have two different classes, and there's a lot of poverty here in Tuba. So you know, it's kind of hard. You know what I mean? Because in the middle of the night, you know, people be walking around at night and you know breaking these laws. As you can see, it was posted on Tuba City. We had like 47 violations for one weekend. So, you know, the people, I don't think they're used to, you know, wanting to be locked down. They want to go do their own thing, and they don't really take the tribal police seriously, you know, especially around here, and, you know, listening to, you know, what's going on. So that's going on. There's a lot of other stuff going on. Plus, at the same time, you know, there's a lot of hysteria. There's media, you know, that's stirring everybody up and giving everybody paranoid. And, like, trust me, like, everybody that I know and everybody I talk to, my mom, my sisters, and, you know, like even Wanda and them, you know, they're really, you know, they're scared, you know what I mean, of what's going on, you know, the seriousness in it. But at the same time, you know, just like we helped out in the funeral the other day, you know, there's no clergy, there's nobody that, you know, can put the body and put the person to rest because everybody doesn't want to come out because of the COVID or, you know, and, you know, the Navajo traditional way, it's like taboo not to be around the body. So if you're around the body, you know, people, because sometimes some people don't want to participate, only the people who are Christians. So, you know, and the family didn't have nobody to turn to at that time. And, you know, it was hard for them. And to figure it out, I guess one of the guys that was there at the funeral, one of the husbands, I guess he recovered from COVID and they didn't tell us that. So we were just like really freaking out. But with that, it's here. We're around it. We're exposed to it every single day. When we go to the store, when we go somewhere, or we do something, you know, like sometimes in the evening times, our family members go to the hospital. Then the police department or whoever says, well, we'll drop you off. We'll take you back home, but they don't. They end up leaving them there. So we got to end up calling the police station, make sure we you know that they identify our vehicle and we go pick them up. So you know, it's crazy. It's like really, really, really crazy. So the main thing is just try to keep your mind focused and, you know, try not to get everybody all wild up and, you know, to come into that point where they're really freaking out. Because if, like, everybody who's talking about it and what they're saying is, like, the afterward effect of what is going to happen. I mean, we got to kind of, like, for me, I was looking at the possibility, what if it doesn't go away? So what are we gonna do? You know, we still gotta function, but we gotta function around it to where we, you know, we keep ourselves clean and stuff like that. You know, so my mom just told me this morning. I was kind of worried. You know, I was actually hoping that that didn't happen, but she just told me, says, "Chris, just don't be scared." So, you know, I don't know how everybody else's situation is right now, but as you know, I don't like as being here and witnessing and seeing everything on the news. They're like the food distribution stuff. I kind of see it as like I think everybody's eating. I think everybody's full. I don't think we need food. We need, and people are saying we need water, but I think it varies on different parts of the reservation. But here in Tuba City, we don't need water. We don't need food. We need hand sanitizer. You know what I mean? We need cleaning supplies for a lot of the people, because like I said, a lot of people are, they're poverty stricken. They can't go to Flagstaff. They can't, they're living off of a food stamp. And some of them, they don't get general assistance or maybe Social Security, so that's the thing. So my sister came over this morning. She dropped off some hand sanitizer. She said that there's a guy that's selling gallons of hand sanitizer for $40 to get direct access. So, I mean, but they're going around and they're giving masks out to, the guys that are walking down the road drunk, or, people that they're just driving up on them and saying, hey, can you wear your mask, and here's some hand sanitizer. Awareness and stuff like that. Like if you stand outside the store and hand this stuff out, I know it's people look at it as being useless, but like just being aware of it. So I don't know. That's what I was just kind of thinking about, trying to push here, because, there's no Lutheran church here. There's no, none of that. But as seeing everything right now, like all the churches are all shut down. The Mormon church shut down. The Catholic church shut down. All the Baptists, everybody is shut down right now. So there's nobody distributing any kind of food, or distributing any kind of, like they said, what did they say, Wanda? They had $1 million that they raised, but like in reality, there's nothing here. There's nothing. There's nobody. All this stuff that they said they're sending up here, and all this stuff, we don't see it. And I got one of my brother's ex-wife. She works as a CNA at the hospital. She said, so they got like, under one nurse, they got 8 patients. So one nurse handles 8 patients. That's an RN, and they got 2 CNAs. So the CNAs are trying to tell the RNs what to do, but the RNs don't want to listen. They're scared. They're reluctant. They don't have the skills and experience to deal with it. So the CNAs right now are just overwhelmed with all that. So all night last night, it was just helicopter after helicopter after helicopter. There was 2 of them going vice versa all night long. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just right now. I'm just the visual eyes. I'm not really out there doing anything. I'm just at home watching my mom, make sure that she's okay, make sure she's fed. But it's just the mental state, the mental part of it, because like I think the cabin fever is getting to everybody, because being frustrated and like in all honesty, a lot of the people here, they kind of pretty much do what they want, and they don't listen to the police station. There's 2 police officers for like almost a 100-mile radius. So I heard this over this weekend is just that the deaths kind of slowed down, but the deaths are happening, and the families are, they got family members, and it's just coming out of nowhere, and it's just taking lives, and and we know these people. We grew up with them. We lived with them. We went to church with them and stuff like that. So just but that's just what's going on right now. And I mean, if we could get more cleaning supplies like hand sanitizers and a lot of that stuff, I mean, on my own, I can give it out. But it's just finding the resources. I'm just sitting here dead weight. That's what I feel like. So I mean, I could offer a prayer or some words or some kind of compassion to somebody, but that's about it. But that's about it for Tiba. So I mean, I gotta go right now because they're gonna be closing Bashes in a little bit. And I got to get some stuff from my mom. So we just came back from another place in Red Lake. So, it's probably like about 30 minutes away from here where my son lives at. We dropped off some stuff over there. So everybody in Tuba City and like on the outer areas, they're probably like about, I say about 4 or 5 towns. So equal with that 8,000, we have probably like probably like about 10,000 altogether people. So. But with that, I mean, well, hopefully it gets better. People start listening, stay inside. Sometimes we don't listen too. So.
Thank you, Chris. I know you're providing a lot of comfort and support for your family, so I wouldn't consider that dead weight. But thank you. Appreciate you joining this call.
Well, I just want to say that I did go up last week. Wait, hold on, Chris. And I took a lot of cleaning products that were easy to find here in Phoenix that you cannot find in Tuba City, because you can't just walk into Bashes and grab like bleach or Lysol or a Lysol spray or anything like that. It's not there. They just don't have it. So if you're lucky enough to find it on the reservation somewhere, you can find it. But trust me when he says there are no cleaning products. And even here in Phoenix, you can only get like one thing. So you have to go over certain like days and like days and days and days and buy like bleach every day or Lysol every day, because the stores don't have it here down in Phoenix either. So I stocked up for like a week and then brought it up there, and I'm going to have to do it again because I know that they're already running out because it's constantly cleaning all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Chris?
some of these households, they have their aunties, their uncles, you know, their cousin brothers staying in one household. So there's like almost 15 people in one house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, if they want to fight and combat it, you know what I mean, they need to get some cleaning supplies out here to, you know, to kill that infection before it starts to, you know, to get to other people. But I think that's the biggest part I see, you know, that's going on. So, I mean, as for us, you know, we try to keep ourselves as clean as we can. So,
can we ship stuff? Can people ship stuff to you, Chris, if they need to in Tuba City?
yeah.
PO
Yeah, we
box?
have a street address and everything like that. So, but that's what we're trying to work on. So, I guess I'm gonna try to collab with my sister and help them and what they're doing right now, because I think that's a very good idea. Them, you know, handing sanitizer and all that stuff out. So,
Yeah, agreed. All right, thank you, Chris.
All right, well, I'm gonna go. I gotta go run around and do some errands before they shut the town down. So I don't get $1,000 fine.
Yeah.
All right, so just pray for us and God bless everybody and take care, and you know, it's good to see everybody. So, all right.
God bless. See you, Chris.
Yeah. One of the things I want to add to Chris is I ordered some stuff through, online, and with our food distribution for the kids, plates and stuff like that. And FedEx was supposed to be our delivery people. FedEx decided as a corporation that churches were not essential organizations, so that they wouldn't deliver. But UPS delivers out here. So even in for Chris's situation in Tuba City, if you guys are gonna mail something out for them, probably UPS or U.S. Post Office would probably be the best, because FedEx as a corporation decided that churches are not essential. And that's what one of the guys told me in Aztec, because I had to drive to Aztec, which is about a 2-hour drive, to pick up 500 plates, to-go plates for kids. And Sam's Club uses FedEx. So, because I ordered some stuff through with them again, and the first order didn't even happen. And so now they're supposed to be delivering some stuff from Sam's Club tomorrow. So
those are good pieces of information to know, because we know that there's these mechanisms in place that are supposed to help us, but haven't been. So, Lonnie, you want to go next?
Hi. Yeah, I could go next. I just feel overwhelmed with everything. Patterson, my condolences to you and your family, and Chris and Wanda's been on my mind. Everybody's been on my mind. But so quick little update up here in my corner of the world. We're in the process of getting a new pastor here. Hopefully, God willing, things will work out for that part of for our church. We're still doing our mission duties here, our end of the month food supply that we hand out each month. In fact, myself and my daughter and I rounded up a couple of my nieces. We came here and put all the bags together, and we went and delivered those 2 evenings ago around the reservation. Of course, taking our PPE precautions. For the most part, that's a good thing that comes out of this. We're got a lot of people thankful for what little help that we're able to offer out of our church here. We also do still doing the baby layettes, giving those out. We're going to be sending out our teepee smoke still. That's our newsletter that we try to send out quarterly, but this is probably our first one in probably over 6 months, but it'll happen hopefully by the end of next week. Let's see what else. As far as the COVID and stuff going on here, our little reservation here, we have all of our entryways blocked off with security checkpoints. We have a curfew at 10 o'clock every night till 6 a.m. in the morning. I haven't slept since, let's see, I think I may have got 2 hours combined sleep last night. I was on call for the ambulance last night. I'm an EMT here for the last 14 years. And my husband and I were on call last night, and unfortunately, one of my cousin's house burnt down last night, and so we had to be on standby there for a couple hours. Thank God they were all okay. Her and her husband and 5 kids in the house. So that's what part of our night was. We had a couple scares during the night where we had to race out. And early this morning, we had a transport to Havre, gentleman who was sick, and then yesterday evening, we had a transport of one of our elders who fell, and so Havre, our county here, as far as I know, we have one in the county, and as soon as they found out he was quarantined, and the reservation west of us, the Blackfeet Reservation, this past week just found out there was one case there. Let's see what else. But yeah, and then my 8 to 4:30 job, I've been working from home, so they set us up to do that. And just been trying to keep in vitamin C. I urge everyone else, try to take in as much vitamin C, stay safe, wash your hands. That's about it. I don't know if anyone has any questions, or if I'm missing something. Prayer Rose, let me know.
No, you answered all the questions, what's happening, what's not happening. Yeah, what kind of needs are needed. Resources need to be directed that way. Any questions for Lonnie? Manuel, you want to go next?
Yeah, so I'm in San Diego and serve here at St. Andrews. It's a fairly middle class, upper middle class community here, but we do serve a lot of ministries through our benevolences, and also our congregation as well physically serves a lot of ministries around here. We have a campus, San Diego State University, and we have a Agape House there, which is our Lutheran Episcopal campus ministry. And so there were many students that got left behind there on campus and can't get off, and they are in need of food. And so we've been able to be a collection point for the Agape House. It's a congregation to drop off food here, and then Agape House comes over and picks up the food and delivers it to the students there that are stranded on campus. And then we also serve a ministry south of here, and that's another food distribution site. It's a Lutheran church down there that we also, one of our members is a director for the food shelf there. As far as, we're 20 miles from the border, from the US border with Mexico. And until the last 2 weeks, there wasn't a whole lot of news about COVID down in Tijuana or in Baja or in Mexico, but that has all changed. And so we've seen a significant rise in the COVID cases, in particular to our south, because that's where the poor working class neighborhoods are in our area. And so the hospitals down there are overrun right now. And so to our north, it's the disparity between our southern communities and our northern communities. So on the south, the hospitals are having trouble keeping up with everything. And to the north, people are out protesting because they want to go out to the beach. It's just amazing the way people, and we're right in the middle. So Yeah. So it's mostly, I mean, we're not financially, we're not struggling like so many other congregations. This congregation's been extraordinarily generous. I had fears, of course, like so many, that we were going to be struggling financially, and I really haven't seen it. Honestly, people are still giving the church, and like I said in my opening, that people are giving from outside our community that we've never seen before because of our live stream. So that's the really hopeful thing too. As far as like community here, they've finally opened up the parks last week. So our city parks are being used by families and we're using social distance. So that 6 feet thing. And my happy place, we have a large regional park. I think it's the largest regional park in California. It's open space, and that's where I often go hiking and take my mountain bike out. And I was able to twice this week get out on the trail and see the animals and see nature and just be out in the open, quiet space out there with all that. See deer prints and bobcats and roadrunners and all that. So, and people are out there using it respectfully as well. So, but our campus has also become a spot for families in our neighborhood to come and hang out. And there's often like 3 or 4 families that are out here with their children playing in our grounds. And if, I open up the door to the bathrooms for them and do that. We don't have a curfew here at all. So people are out all times of the night running around doing their thing. There's rumors that there's heightened kind of weirdness going on at night, people checking out in casing homes, but I don't know if that's really true or just people being overly crazy about, because they're sitting at home not doing anything, so they're seeing people out that they normally see, so there's no way to know. And as far as our congregation go, we're congregation membership is about 700 and something, and we haven't had any COVID cases in our congregation here in San Diego, not a one. And there's some people who are connected, like a 1-2% or a 2-degree relation to the congregation, but nobody here. So, and we've continued to have worship Saturday nights and Sunday morning, which we live stream. And I've been doing youth group through Zoom, and we did our first confirmation class through Zoom last night and had about 20 kids on that Zoom call, which was really good. And the kids, as far as I could tell, they were paying attention even through Zoom and not looking at their phones. So it was really good. And we're looking to do more meetings like Bible studies and that through Zoom and keep people connected. And that has been the challenge, I think, for all of us, is how do we keep connected and how do we keep our communities connected and using the technology that we have. And so I'm trying to creatively think about how to do that and what that means after we're through this, whenever that is, whether it's August or January 2021, what that all means. So, yeah.
Thank you. Have you seen, has there been any changes in how, I know you all help out with the Miracle Ranch down in Baja. Has there been any situations occurring down there?
No, in fact, the directors were here yesterday to pick up some checks and also pick up some donations. And so talk to them. They're fairly isolated out in the country. There's a fence around their 80-acre property, and they're fairly isolated. And things have not, even financially, they haven't had, people are still giving to them.
That's beautiful.
Even in the midst of the struggle, they're doing well. And the babies, they have 13 babies right now. And they were already doing PPE before with the babies. And so that has not changed. So they're doing very well. There is more difficulty getting across the border now. So it's only essential workers, and the cars, at least what I've heard, I haven't seen this yet, what I've heard is that they're only letting US plated cars come across the border here. in Tijuana, in San Isidro, Otay, and Tecate. And Mexico screening people too as they come across. If they're walking across, they're getting screened because they've seen such a bump in the cases there. So.
Any questions for Manuel? Larry, you want to do a introduction and update on the ministry there?
Sure.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Larry Thiele. I serve at Dakotah Oyate Lutheran Church in Tokio, North Dakota on the Spirit Lake Nation. I'm an enrolled member of Sistan Wapton Oyate in South Dakota, but I've lived here on Spirit Lake for 40 years now. So all of my adult life. What's happening? Well, the good news is on Spirit Lake, we haven't had any cases on the reservation. We've had tribal members who have died from COVID, but they were basically, they're the homeless that left this area because of their homelessness and went to a larger city to where they could have more services or whatever, and they contracted it. And I believe we have 3 people in the hospital in Fargo right now, and 1 more in Minneapolis that just came down, was just diagnosed today, I think. So, you know, because we don't have any here yet within the boundaries of the reservation, it still affects our families. Somebody was talking about funerals. Manuel, I think, was talking about, or not Manuel. So Sloan was talking about pastors and funerals, and we're still doing funerals. We just got to practice social distancing while we do them. And we're not doing funerals, we're doing burials, and we have visitation. So how that works is at the funeral home, I'll go in and do a blessing of the body with 3 or 4 family members. And then the family will go in and do a viewing. And then at the cemetery, there's only allowed 4 people at a time. But out here, we're spaced out enough to where there can be more than that. Doing a funeral again on Monday for one of our, this is a non-COVID death, but we're still doing it. And still need to practice social distancing as we do that. Even though there's no cases, we still got to assume that somebody does have it. One of the other things that has been affected is our graduations, and we're in the process right now of how are we going to do our graduations for our seniors. We got a plan in place for an outdoor graduation and families to be in their cars, and 1 family at a time, 1 graduate at a time. But we're not sure what's going to happen if it happens to rain during that time, or something like that comes up, because it's going to be outdoors, and there's no real way to do a backup plan with 12 families, 48 people at a minimum. But as far as worship and everything, we're still doing worship. We're just not gathering together. We're doing a Zoom worship. And some of our people cannot get on Zoom, so we're doing a messenger call at the same time. So the ones that cannot get on Zoom, they're on Messenger. They can at least hear the service and hear what's going on. They can't see anything. But the good point about that is we have more people attending virtual worship than we did when we had 2 services, you know, because I combined both congregations into one service now. Instead of doing 2 services, just do 1 and have everybody on either on Zoom or on Messenger when we do it. So, and I think even after this is over and we do get back into the church building, we will continue to do Zoom, because we also record them, and we put those out for people who, for whatever reason, couldn't be in attendance while it was live. They can still do the worship as a recording. And because of the participation, we have people joining us from different areas. mostly Fargo and Minneapolis. So we're going to continue with that even after this is over. As far as most of we're still coming and going. We have curfew out, 10 o'clock curfew for everybody. It's not really, doesn't have to be enforced too much. But the real concern is our kids are still gathering together in groups on playgrounds and stuff. So they've kind of, they took down the basketball hoops on the basketball courts, trying to discourage the gathering together of our young people. But when you have housing areas and parents aren't being vigilant, the kids are going to gather together. So if there is a case that does come up, that's how it's going to be spread, is through our kids and the gathering together that they do. Otherwise, most of the needs are being met. We're not completely shut down. Our tribe has asked people to limit their trips into Devil's Lake because Devil's Lake is 20 miles away, the nearest largest town. And it has, there's three cases in Devil's Lake, or not in Devil's Lake, in the county. I'm not sure if that's Devil's Lake, but most likely. But so far, everything's been working out okay. We do just go essentials. One person per household is designated to go get supplies for the family. So that's how that's working. That's about it, I guess.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Larry up here in North Dakota?
What's that?
So I was just asking if there's any questions for you.
Okay.
Thank you, Larry.
Very well.
Yeah, Albert.
I'd like to just ask, and Larry and all the rest, that if you are streaming or Zooming or whatever else your service, if we could maybe get a list of what time your services are, I think there'd be even other folks that might be interested. I'd like to try to catch up to your service sometimes. Yeah. Yeah,
thank you for that. That was a question that was asked by Colleen last time too, and I think our Alaska Native friends asked if folks could share text because they don't have the capacity to watch screening, and Wanda had brought that up too, that some places just don't have the capacity to watch screening, so sharing text is something that we want to be better at doing. Thank you for the question. Colleen, I think you're next.
I think so. Together here, unlike the other folks, I'm a Minister of Word and Service approved candidate. I am assigned to Northeastern Minnesota. And it has been just an interesting situation. As a mission developer, had started this ministry before I was done with seminary, and then finished seminary, and have been waiting 2 years now to try to figure out how we can get funding for a call. So I'm still in that loop, but I'm functioning under mission developer status at this point. At the beginning of the coronavirus, pretty much everybody who had been on the core team for Together Here scrambled. They went to congregational ministries, so that left me as the one and only standing person left in the ministry, and that hasn't changed. And so what I'm doing now is working with ecumenical partners through other denominations to try to get the ministry up and running and continuing in the way they were. We are a ministry of reconciliation, and so we act as a bridge between the church and the tribal communities. And what that's meant for us through COVID-19 is to try to figure out where the needs are. That's resulted in me making more masks and organizing more mask distributions than I ever thought that I would do in a lifetime. And that's worked out really well. And that's connected us with communities that are in synods on either side of us as well. So Northwestern Wisconsin and Northwestern Minnesota. And as far as where I'm located goes, we're a pretty small county, Carleton County, but we have over 50 50 some odd active cases of COVID right now. About half of them are in a prison in this county. And for our community, our spring harvest, our netting and other harvests started, and that has created some concerns. So we were authorized by IHS to have a drive-through testing center that opened on Monday. We have active community spread in the border communities. Currently, we don't have any active cases on the reservation, but we're anticipating that to change because social distancing just simply is not possible when you're netting. And so people tried to limit the size of their netting teams and tried to keep them to be as small as possible, but that meant that there were still anywhere from 10 to a dozen people gathering. So we're anticipating that we could probably start to see that happen. I work as a conduit between the church and Johns Hopkins Great Lakes Center. So we've been in constant communication with Johns Hopkins to figure out, you know, how that can work. And I know there are some resources that Johns Hopkins does have available for some communities. So if I can act as a conduit for anyone with that, I am more than willing to do that rather. They, on the last conference call I was on, you know, they were helping communities find things like even those little plastic sheaths that go on temperature thermometer probes. Apparently those have been hard to come by in clinical settings, but Johns Hopkins can get a hold of those. They also have cleaning supplies and they have food and various other things that they can get a hold of. Like everywhere, coronavirus has revealed some gaps in our communities. Our local reservations, as a rule, don't have food pantries on them. They have been relying on border town communities and churches. And as church buildings have been shut down or closed to the public, which in Minnesota is where we're at, then they haven't been able to access that. And then our transportation systems within our tribal community have also ceased. And so people haven't been able to access the border communities either. So we're in the process now of trying to figure out how do we get food pantries within our reservation borders. There's so many places where I see that the church can be helping out our communities, and this ministry is so new, and when everybody scattered, it kind of left a bigger gap. We have 80% of our reservation doesn't have the infrastructure for any type of internet, and we only have one tower on our reservation. So of the people who could maybe get a cell phone, we have about 60% of our tribal community who can't even access that cell phone tower. So that's not an option for them. So, and then those who are within our clinic system, we have a different kind of relationship with IHS in our clinic system in that we're an independent contractor. And so we went to virtual and they found out that about 40% of our tribal members didn't have smartphones. And of people who did have smartphones, they didn't have data plans in order to be able to access virtual health. So we're in the process now of trying to figure out, you know, how can we help people get data? How can we help them get a phone, like a Google account that links directly to the clinic? You know, different things like that. And they're looking for help and they're looking for people. And so trying to connect congregations. And I wish I could be more optimistic, but it hasn't really worked out with the ELCA congregations. So I've moved on to working with the Presbyterian Church and the different congregational churches that are like the UCC churches and stuff that are in our area. And so that's kind of where I'm at this point. I'm going to continue to push the ELCA congregations, but I can't even get in their buildings right now to be having those conversations face to face. So on a personal note, I live on the reservation, but I grew up in an off-reservation community. My off-reservation community has been ground zero for the coronavirus in the northwestern Wisconsin county where it's located. And so that's been really hard to watch my family, go through that. In the midst of all of this, my dad has been diagnosed with metastatic cancer, prostate cancer. And so watching my parents try to navigate hospital and visits, and you can't go in together, and all of that has been really complicated. And then we have a bunch of elders that live in my home community, and they're disconnected from the reservation, and the reservation has a travel moratorium of a 50-mile radius, and my home community is 52 miles from the reservation. And so after working with them for repeatedly, they finally have opened that up to the elders. So we're going to be able to start to get essential services to the elders of food and whatever other needs that they have at this point. So it's been a really interesting journey. If I'm really honest, it's been kind of lonely because I got a message pretty much straight out of the gate that I had to wait until they got all the congregational ministries figured out, and that everybody would get back to me once that happened. And so I've only had about maybe the last 2 weeks of contact with people who within the Synod office who could be helping me out. I will say that Pastor Amy Auger in the DEM, she was keeping in personal contact with me, but there wasn't much that she could help me out with because of the decisions that were being made above her. It's a weird time to be a deacon, and it is a weird time to not be in congregational ministry, if I'm being really honest. But it's a good time. It's the perfect time to be a minister of word and service, to be able to be out in the community and bringing the message of hope and mercy and justice and all of the things that we do as ministers. So it's good, and keeping as upbeat as I can, and trying to hold it all together. I'll be really honest, my dad's diagnosis came in on Friday. He started treatment yesterday, and so it's really new, and honestly, it's a little much. So, y'all are in ministry, you know how that goes, that trying to juggle your family and your personal crises with your ministry life, and sometimes it's easier than others, and this just happens to be a not so easy time. But other than that, we're doing okay. Loving the fact it was warm. That's why I was sitting outside. My goodness, in Minnesota, if we can sit outside in April, what a beautiful thing, right? And spring is coming, and things should be turning around here pretty quick, right? One of the awesome things is I have seen more of our community talking about putting in a garden than I've ever seen. And so that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, Colleen. I'm looking very much forward to putting in a garden really soon. It's rainy today, so over here I'm in Western North Dakota, and I just moved just off of the borders of my reservation of the MHA Nation into Garrison, North Dakota, and the internet thing is real. I just got my Wi-Fi legit like 15 minutes before we started this conference call, and I am paying 3 times more for my Wi-Fi here than I did in Fargo, North Dakota. So it's a real issue. I'm really fortunate to be able to pay that bill at the moment, but it's crazy. I'm legit paying 3 times more for the same service that I had in Fargo. I'm looking forward to, oh, go ahead, Colleen.
Oh, I was just gonna say our service here, there's a carrier, excuse me one second, I need to, you're gonna go for a walk with me, so I'm gonna let the dog in, or he is gonna drive us all just bonkers. We have only one carrier on the res, and we don't have access to any other carriers, and that carrier has decided that we are what they have defined a permanent crisis zone, and they have absolutely no plans to fix the situation. But on a very exciting, positive note, under the previous administration, where there was the push to get the internet to all of the reservations, our reservation was in a position to be able to file to have broadband come in, and started their own company and petitioned with the FCC, and last week was granted through the Public Utilities Commission of Minnesota to be our own communications carrier. So I'm expecting we should have internet at some point on Fond du Lac, but right now we're permanent crisis zone, whatever the heck that means.
Yeah, I think we all are. I think the Zoom call is scheduled to end at 6 p.m. my time, so we might get cut off in a few minutes here. I just want to thank everybody for staying in for this deep dialogue about the updates on our ministries. We'll be scheduling another call and using the notes from this one. I hope that we can find resources, food for those who need it, but cleaning supplies for others. And specifically some monies as well to ministries who are actively serving as essential distribution sites for their communities and ministries. We probably will get cut off here, but Wanda, can you close us out in prayer? And I apologize if you get cut off. Thank you, everybody. You're muted.
I know.
There you
sorry.
go.
My mouse just died too, so I couldn't figure out how to unmute, but I apologize. So yes, I will pray us out. Okay, so please join me in prayer. Holy, gracious, heavenly, merciful Father, we thank you for the ability to be able to come together and support and fellowship with each other for this short time. We thank you for the communities that we are able to serve and for the people that we are working for. We thank you for the ELCA and the funding that was given, and we hope to be able to put that to good use. Please be with us as we continue our work and as we continue to try to serve our congregations in this new and interesting era of technology and with the COVID-19. Please be with us as we minister to our congregations and our families as they suffer and struggle through this sickness just as we are doing. Please be with the people in every reservation, including the Navajo reservation and all of the others that are just starting to see COVID, and in the city with the urban natives who have been struggling with it for a while now. These things we come before you and pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Yay, I didn't get cut off.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you soon about where this is going next. All right. Much love, my friends. Bye.
Bye.